Welcome back to the Adventures of Emily
and Brenda.
And today we're back with another movie review.
Yay!
Yay!
And this is a good one.
Mm-hmm.
At least I thought so.
Yeah,
I really
thought
enjoyed
it was good too.
Do you want to tell them what we saw?
Well, we went to see Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
Yes.
Yeah.
The last in the Indiana Jones series.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm kind of sad about.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, Harrison Ford isn't getting any younger, so I guess it makes sense, but I'm sad.
Yeah.
It's like the end of an era, you know,
it really
kind of
is. Yeah.
And it's so interesting because we just saw by chance the beginning, Raiders of the Lost Ark, recently.
Yeah.
So it's like I feel like we're kind of putting end caps on the series right now.
Yeah, it was my first time seeing that one. I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
So.
And it provided a little bit more context for this one.
Yeah,
probably.
I thought so.
For you too.
Yeah.
So, what did you think? Well, what were your overall thoughts about it?
Overall, I thought the movie was really good. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there were some parts that were a bit slow for me and a bit like drawn out because it was kind of a long movie for me. But I thought overall it was really good. The plot was good. I liked the characters, the ones that were likable. At least I liked them and stuff. So I thought it was good. What did you think?
I liked it too. I think I had very similar overall impressions. I mean, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a great summer adventure movie.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, it was a lot like the old Indiana Jones movies for me. I agree with your comments about some parts dragging a bit, and we can get into the specifics as we talk a little bit more about the movie, but there were a couple parts for me too that I thought were a little bit kind of slow.
Yeah.
And it made me, I mean, I actually had the thought at one point, like, I wonder how long this movie is.
Yeah.
So so I do think there were some parts that maybe could have been a little bit shorter than what they were.
I agree. Yeah.
But other than that, I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a really good time.
Yeah, what would you rate it?
I mean, I think I would probably give it like a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I was going to say 7.5 out of 10. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, if it weren't for those parts that I thought seemed a little slow, I think, give it higher.
Yeah, me too.
Well, what did you think about the CGI? Because I know that was a huge topic of conversation with this movie going into it, and that was one of the things I'd kind of heard about the movie. There were some mixed reviews regarding the CGI. What did you think about that?
I liked the CGI. I thought it was really good. There were a couple parts in there, so for reference, he's like on the top of a train doing one of those typical action movie chase scenes, you know, and there were a couple parts where like the wind was blowing in his face and I thought it looked a little bit off, but I thought overall it was really well done. I mean, I would have thought, like, if it hadn't been so high def, I would have been like, oh, this was filmed in whenever those movies came out. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I thought it was good. I mean, obviously, I'm not an expert.
Yeah, we're not CGI experts.
We're definitely not. So
yeah.
I'm sure those of you who are probably could see all of the flaws in every issue.
Yeah.
For me, I couldn't see that. And so I thought it was great. I mean, I don't know. I really...
Yeah, if you hear noise in the background, our cat is going crazy.
Maybe our cats have some comments about the CGI. But I thought the flashback was really important to the story.
Yeah, it really set the foundation for the entire movie.
Yeah, so it was necessary.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I thought Harrison Ford looked really good. I thought Mads Mikkelsen looked really good.
Yeah.
And with the CGI de-aging as well. Yeah. I thought they both...
Yeah, I thought they didn't even really need to de-age Mads Mikkelsen because I didn't even realize it. I just noticed like his hair color changed later and I was like, oh, yeah, he didn't really need to be de-aged that much.
True. He looks amazingly good.
Yeah.
Still. And I mean, of course, Harrison Ford does too, for the age he is. I'm not sure at the filming of this, he would have been, I guess it was a couple years ago maybe. So I think he's like 80 now. So he would,
I don't know,
around 78 or in his late 70s at the time. I mean,
he's still
kicking.
Yeah,
he's
still got it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine doing those things myself.
Yeah, and I hope to be that spry at 80 something. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's so I was I was happy with it. I didn't have a problem at all. It did not detract at all from the movie for me, and I thought it was just good to remind us of the old Indiana Jones and to see, well, there's a connection in the movie between the past and the present that was an important part of the story. So
yeah, I think especially when I compare it to like Rogue One and Leia's CGI at the end of Rogue One, like it's such a big difference in the span of only a few years.
Yeah, or even Luke on The Mandalorian.
Yeah, even that.
I mean, which I thought, looked. I mean, I thought Mark Hamill looked pretty good in that, but there was something kind of off with I think with what he was saying. Yeah. And his mouth kind of didn't.
The syncing was off.
Yeah, it didn't match up exactly with that. But I actually, and it's funny because when I was watching this, I actually looked for that.
Yeah.
And I didn't notice it not matching up. Did you?
No.
Yeah,
it seemed seamless pretty much.
Yeah, it seemed to for me. So, yeah. I thought the CGI worked. So what were your favorite parts of the movie?
I don't know. I thought like the diving was interesting. Them like diving in the water and the eels were a bit scary.
Wow. Sea snakes, I guess.
The sea snakes,
there have to be snakes somewhere.
Yeah, but I thought the thing that was scarier than the eels was the bugs. So
oh gosh,
that was worse for me. The eels weren't even that bad. I was like, oh, it's all the bugs.
I know. I mean, the eels may have been more deadly, but the bugs were horrible.
Gosh, yeah. That was a callback to what the other movie we just watched too with the bugs.
Yeah, definitely. But that was your favorite?
That was
your favorite part of it?
I don't know if I have a favorite moment. Yeah, I can't really. I like the whole movie overall. I can't really pick like a favorite of the movie.
I really liked. Since we just saw Raiders of the Lost Ark, there's a scene in this movie towards the beginning of the movie where Indy is teaching a class at the university, and unlike in the previous movie in Raiders of the Lost Ark where he's teaching a class also, but in that movie he's, the class is just riveted. The whole class is just, and the girls are like, oh, and they're all, just enthralled with him. This was the polar opposite. This time they were all asleep. No one cared. No one was interested in what he was saying.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really good callback and kind of contrast with that moment from the first one when a lot has changed.
For sure.
Guess it was time for him to retire from that job. And he did. In the movie, he retired. So I liked that.
Yeah, I thought it was funny. They got him like a retirement gift and then he just gave it to the random person on the street. I thought that was funny.
But it was so in character for him. I mean, you can imagine someone like him who spent his whole life chasing these, important artifacts.
Yeah.
And then he's given this sort of random, like,
I don't
gold
know what it was.
Clock. Yeah, it was like a random gold, like, mantle clock, and he's just, okay, you know.
That's true. That was funny.
Away.
Yeah.
That was a good moment. I also liked the moment on the boat when Phoebe Waller-Bridge, her character, her name is Helena Shaw.
Yeah.
And she's the daughter of Indy's friend. What is his name? Basil Shaw? Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Basil Shaw. But she... so they have after this dial of destiny that can, transport you through time. And she asks Indy, like, what would you do if you had this? Where would you go? Like, what time period? What thing would you want to see from the past? Thinking because he's an archaeologist and adventurer, he's going to say something, really interesting point in history. But he just says he would want to go back in time and talk to his son and tell him not to join the war, not to sign up because he was going to die. So we find out at that moment that Indy and Marion's son has actually died.
Yeah.
So that was a it was a sad moment, but it was also, I thought Harrison Ford did a really good job.
Yeah,
It was
he's
such an
very good at
emotional.
the emotional scenes in this movie.
Yeah, and there were a couple of really good emotional scenes, but that one I thought just kind of resonated with everybody because I think a lot of us, maybe we're not adventurers like Indiana Jones, but we could relate to wanting to go back to a point and tell someone something or say, don't do this because we know, what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a really good scene. And I also like the end
I like the end too.
a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was probably, I think he, at the very end, his hat is kind of hanging outside on the balcony of their apartment and it just kind of
Yeah.
snatches it back in. And I kind of love that.
Yeah. I like that too.
I love I don't know. I mean, for me, well, you tell me, what did it represent to you?
I
that
think it represented, because it seems like maybe they were going to think of passing the torch on to Helena and having her do her own thing. Obviously not her being Indiana Jones, but kind of that. But this kind of seemed like, oh no, he's the one and only.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the one that gets the adventure. Yeah.
He's the one that gets the hat.
Yeah.
He always
hat.
gets the hat. Yeah, I felt the same way. I mean, I think she was great in
Yeah,
this
she
movie.
was great.
She was really fun. And you could see a kind of spin-off.
Yeah, she would be
Series
great in a
with her,
spin-off
and-
series, yeah.
'Cause I think she was perfect in that kind of archaeologist adventure role.
Yeah.
Like he was. I could see her doing that and continuing that. But I think they did want to make the point that he's Indiana Jones, though.
Yeah, they're not going to
one
be
else.
making remakes with somebody else. It's like he's the
No.
only one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you think about that? How do you feel about that?
I like not having continuations of stuff. Like I haven't really watched James Bond, but like with that kind of thing where they just kept going with the same character with different people playing it, I kind of like just having like a conclusive story, even if it's over a 40-year time period.
It's
or
been a long
something.
time.
It's been a long
Yeah.
time, but I kind of like that. I don't like this different actors playing the same character and or even like with Spider-Man redoing the same story sometimes over and over again. I don't
Yeah,
really,
with different
I'm not the biggest
actors.
fan of that kind of
Yeah.
thing. So I kind of like that they gave him a full arc and ended it as well as they did. Yeah, especially for a series like that that's been going on for so long. Sometimes you get these series where, like with Pirates of the Caribbean, where like the first 3 movies I thought were pretty good, and then after that it kind of went downhill from there.
It's
at least
hard.
in
It's
my
hard to
opinion.
maintain, I think,
Yeah.
the same level, especially
Yeah.
when a first movie is really great, and it just to
Yeah.
kind of keep the writing at a high level sometimes
Yeah.
is hard to do.
We're still scarred from the last Star Wars trilogy, if you can't tell.
It's hard. It is hard to end a trilogy or hard to end a series, and
Yeah.
I mean, I think after Rise of Skywalker, this is definitely, for me at least, a much more satisfying ending to a long-term series
Yeah.
like that, for sure.
Yeah.
And it was interesting too that I said I really like the scene and the emotional points that Harrison Ford brought to that moment, but it was also interesting that they made a kind of final point on the son. It's like he's gone.
Yeah.
So he's not coming back to continue the character in any way.
Yeah.
And you think that was a good choice?
Yeah,
to
I
do
think that was a good choice. Yeah.
I mean, even if they brought in a different actor, because I know people weren't exactly maybe crazy about Shia LaBeouf
Yeah.
continuing that role, but if they just brought in someone else to be.
Yeah, I kind of like how they did it. Where like, because Helena is his goddaughter and whatever. So if they were to do a spinoff, like she still has some relation to him, while also being her own person and being cool. So I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it would be just enough of a connection to maintain that, but at the same time, kind of go in a different.
Direction with
Yeah.
it, if they chose to do that. Yeah.
So, what did you think about? There was an interesting part of this, and this was actually another thing that I really loved about this. There was a sort of fake out ending.
Yeah.
What did you think about it?
I thought it was good. I was thinking of fake out endings. I was thinking of the Twilight one from Breaking Dawn Part 2. That's like the fake out ending.
Yeah, it wasn't quite as
it
much
wasn't
of a
quite
fake out
that fake
as-
out.
yeah.
But I thought it was good though. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you believe that was the end at the moment?
They had me so close to believing. I was like, oh, they're not going to go that way. Yeah, it was like so close.
So there is a moment in the movie where Indiana Jones goes back in time, and he looks mortally wounded. He was shot, so
Yeah.
he's very seriously wounded, and he wants them to leave him in this point in time, and says, look, I'm an archaeologist, and I've spent my whole life studying these things, and now I get to see this in person and witness this, and just leave me here. And that's what he wants. And you think, again, it's another like really emotional moment. And I thought that was kind of it. And it, in some way it would have been a kind of fitting ending.
Yeah, I
to
would have
his
been happy if
character.
that had been the ending too.
I think I would have been okay with that as an ending as well. But then it continued, and Helena punches Indy, and then the next time we see him, he wakes up in his bed in his apartment.
Yeah.
And, she's not leaving him behind, so he ends up back in our time. But that was cool too, because we get the surprise appearance at the end of Marion, which is nice, because at the beginning of the movie we kind of see divorce papers on the kitchen counter, so I didn't really think we would see Marion.
I know, yeah. I'm glad they ended it like that, with them back together, and it was a happy ending.
I know. It was a happy, because I was thinking that's sort of another funny thing with Harrison Ford's characters in Star Wars and this. I was like, he always gets divorced.
Divorced
Like
and
from his big loves. And these
divorced and dead children. Like, that's terrible.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has bad luck as a dad in these movie series.
Yeah. But both of his like big romances in these franchise series like Star Wars and this.
Yeah.
I'm like, really? They're both divorced? That's it? That's what we're getting out of this?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad they gave him a happy ending with that.
I was really glad about that one too. Well, anything else that you have from this? Any other moments that you thought were interesting, or?
I don't know. It just made me kind of want to go on an adventure. Like, I like those type of movies. They make me want to just,
It's a good thing you're doing the adventures.
I meant like a big worldwide trip to go find some artifacts somewhere.
I know.
Let's go find the Holy Grail.
Yeah, that could be a really anxious adventure.
I'd be very anxious the entire time.
With bugs and snakes.
Yeah, I don't think I was cut out for that kind of adventure.
Yeah.
I like what we're doing right now. There's no bugs and no deep sea diving.
Not yet, no. I don't know. I think we have to work our way up to that.
Yeah, we'll get there one day. Maybe we'll go skydiving or something.
That you can do that, and I'll be happy to film that one. But our adventures are anxious enough as it is in what we're doing, so I think we're good. We'll leave those to Indiana Jones. But.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for watching this reaction to Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Tell us what you thought about the movie in the comments, and tell us what you thought about the CGI. Did it bother you? Did you like it? Did it work? Let us know.
Are you like us that you're like, oh, is it good? Is it bad? We don't know.
I know. Seems fine.
Seems fine to me.
All right.
Well, we'll see you on our next adventure. Bye.
Bye.